What's going on, Tix Tribe? It's your boy Irontixc, and welcome back to another video on the channel. So, thank you guys for the last three videos. I really appreciate that. Y'all went insane on the last three videos. Well, the two UFC ones were alright, but the animated stories one, y'all went absolutely crazy on that shit. So, I figured we'll do another one. So we got 4 food delivery horror stories animated. So without further ado, if y'all enjoyed this shit, let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, hope you guys enjoy your day. Let's get to it. Would it help if I push play?
In this wonderful modern time, we have the luxury of ordering just about any food we want for delivery. It's easy to get anything from pizza to
Hope
a
y'all
chicken
can hear it.
sandwich. On the flip side, we can take jobs as delivery drivers and make a few bucks on the side. It's easy work, and when you're a single mother like me, any extra income is good income. A few weeks ago, I delivered some food to a nice suburban community. It was one of those neighborhoods you'd see on a Disney Channel show. Nice houses, picket fences, you know the neighborhoods I'm talking about. And like all the deliveries I make, I'm supposed to take a picture of the food at the front door. Think of it as like an insurance policy in case the food is at the wrong house or stolen or something weird happens. I place the food in front of the door, on top of the small staircase that leads to the door. I took a few steps back and took a picture of it. After taking the picture, I was walking back to my car when I was confronted by an extremely angry and enraged woman who came out from the house across the street. I asked her what her problem was, and she just kept screaming at me, saying that it was private property and that I was trespassing. I tried explaining one time to the woman what I did and why I took the picture, and it did not compute in her tiny little brain. After being continuously cut off every time I tried to speak, I decided to just get into my car and drive away. I tried being nice, but clearly this woman was insane. I got inside my car and was checking my phone for another delivery. The woman started to bang on the hood of my car, causing me to
Damn.
jump from being startled. I got out of the car aggressively to see if there was any damage, and she ran back to her house. There was no damage, but I was so done with this delivery and I decided to just call it a night. I ended up
Feel
driving
that.
home and spending the evening with my daughter. We ate dinner, played some games, and watched a movie together. I put her to bed and started binge watching one of my favorite shows, and I would have guessed that it was around midnight when I heard someone knocking at my front door.
Oh
Knocking
boy.
rather aggressively, I might add. I couldn't believe what I was looking at through the peephole in the door.
It's her, isn't
It
it?
was the crazy
Yep.
woman
Oof.
from the delivery earlier in the day. I didn't answer. I didn't even say anything. I just kept watching this woman, trying to figure out what she was doing at my house. She had to have followed me home, which was already insanely creepy, and while I was watching her, she went over to the walkway that led to my front door. From the driveway, I have this path of little stones that leads to the front door. It's not like big slabs of pavement, but rather small stones that almost fit together like a mosaic. The woman grabbed one of the stones, roughly the size of an average dinner plate, and put it behind her back. She started to knock on the door again.
That
Still
bitch
concealing
crazy,
the
bro. What
stone
the
behind her
hell?
back. And this is where things get very weird. I didn't answer the door, but I shouted to her that I had called the police. And this must have scared her because she threw the stone at my house and ran away. I did end up calling the police and reporting what happened. They followed up, but nothing really came of it, and that was the end of the story until recently. If that was all that happened, that would be scary enough, not knowing what she wanted from me and her showing up in the middle of the night. But things got much worse. About a week after the incident, I saw the woman at the grocery store. No confrontation or anything like that. But then I saw her several other times just driving. Again, no confrontation or anything else. I wanted to say it was just a coincidence, but it almost felt a little too weird. I have a friend who is married to a cop, and I talked to him about it. I explained that something felt off, but it's possible that it was just pure chance that I kept noticing her, and he agreed. He basically said that because I'm aware of this woman, I'm subconsciously picking her out of the crowd in our town. I didn't like that answer, but I guess technically he was right. It is a pretty smallish town after all. And this brings me to about a week ago as of me writing this account. I just got my daughter on the bus and I was outside pulling some weeds. While I was on the ground, I could feel someone standing over me. I
Oh.
turned around, and it was that woman. The same damn woman from that stupid delivery. I was completely vulnerable in that position and I didn't know what to do. And she said in a sort of soft but angry voice, "You're a monster for calling the cops. You're a trespasser." I noticed that she had one of my stones again, and without thinking, flight mode kicked in, and I got up and ran as fast as I could. She actually tried hitting me with a stone, but she missed. I ran inside and locked the door. I called the police and told them that she was back and trying to hit me with a rock. The police showed up, and this time, they arrested that crazy woman. It turns out that that woman had some pre-existing history of mental health. I'm not exactly sure what it was. And because this is so fresh, I don't exactly know what happened to her. I saw her get taken away in the back of a squad car because she was still at my house when the police came. And I just hope this nightmare is over.
PTSD or something? Or maybe crack cocaine
At least for now, it seems to be over.
or something.
I just hope that she gets the help that she needs and that I never have to see her crazy face again.
Yeah, that would suck. That would definitely suck.
In my early 20s, I had a knack for spending more money than I could afford. When I got my first real taste of making money, it's not an understatement to say that I was reckless. One of the first things I did was get a new car with extremely high payments. Instead of leasing a smaller, cheaper car, I decided that I was going to buy a BMW.
Mm.
It's not a top-of-the-line one, but still a BMW, and my payments were over $600 a month, which may not seem like a lot for some people, but for me, it was crippling. I barely made
Dog, I pay 700 for rent. That's wild. That's a little wild.
enough money to pay my bills, and I still lived with my parents at the time, and so I found myself doing all sorts of tasks for friends and family members to make some extra money. I regularly watched my friend Dom's dog. Dom had to go out of state every other weekend for his job, and since he didn't have a wife or girlfriend, he had me as his dog sitter. And I did this for about 6 months and honestly loved the job. He lived in a nice and quiet neighborhood. The dog, Willard, was a golden retriever and was such a good dog, not to mention easy to care for. And these bi-monthly trips to Dom's were something I look forward to. But like most good things in the world, it eventually came to an end. I'm sorry about the pessimistic attitude, but the last time I watched Willard, the evening started like every other weekend dog sitter trip. We'd play in the yard for a while, go for a walk, and then wind down at around 9 p.m. One of the reasons why Dom trusted me was because he knew I could never have people over or anything like that because I would work early in the mornings on the weekends. Usually I would be asleep around 10, but on this Saturday night, I was invested in a movie that ended a little after 11. The movie was Inception, just in case you were wondering. And after the movie, I let Willard out while I got myself ready for bed. I always felt weird about sleeping in Dom's bedroom, so I would usually sleep on the couch with the dog. Just as I was getting comfortable, the doorbell rang. I looked at the clock and it was about 11:16 p.m. My mind immediately went to someone in Dom's family. I couldn't imagine anybody else ringing the doorbell in his neighborhood at this hour, and I rushed to the door, and standing on the other side was a young man, most likely in his early 20s like me. He looked clean-cut and didn't have a threatening presence.
Why is it that in all animated videos, young men look like they're in their damn near 50s and 60s? Like, bro, what?
About him, and I opened the front door but kept the outer screen door shut and locked. And talking through the screen, I asked him if I could help him with something, and he didn't seem weird or sketchy. And in a very confident voice, he said to me, "Hey man, I got the food you ordered." And two things I feel like I need to mention here. One, This was before all the food ordering apps, so your food never just got dropped off at the door. You had to physically go and pay for the food at the door and have an interaction with the delivery driver. And two, you're probably assuming that Willard is like most dogs and that she's barking like crazy at someone ringing the doorbell. Well, she isn't like most dogs. Not only did she not bark, but she stayed on the living room couch the entire time I had an interaction with that delivery driver. I was kind of annoyed by this more than anything. I definitely wasn't scared. I mean, why would I be? I had no reason to believe that this was anything other than just some mistake. I explained to the guy that he had the wrong address and that I didn't order any food. We had a quick back and forth, and then we figured out that the delivery was for a different address and he accidentally went to the wrong house. The guy started to apologize, and I told him not to worry. While he was apologizing, I noticed that his car was filled with 3 other people, 2 in the back and 1 in the passenger seat. I thought that was pretty weird. I never noticed delivery drivers have anyone else in the car with them, let alone an entire carload of people. We finally wrapped up our conversation and locked the door. I made my way back to the living room and tried to get myself comfortable again. And I was a little annoyed, but I understood accidents do happen. Not 2 minutes later, the doorbell starts ringing like crazy.
Oh
You
boy.
know that annoying sound of the bell just ringing non-stop? Well, I
Sorry,
jumped
my
up and ran
nose
to
is
the
just.
door. It was the delivery driver, and now he looked a little bit more panicked. I didn't open the front door but shouted through the window beside the door. I asked what he wanted, and he told me that he accidentally hit my car in the driveway while he was trying to leave. And before I could answer, he put his head down and said in an almost ashamed voice, "I'm sorry, man, but it looks like there's a little damage. I hate to bother you, but I think you should take a look." Now I was furious. I opened the front door and started following the delivery driver down the driveway toward my car. I didn't even put shoes on. Several feet from the car, I noticed something strange, though. His car, which was filled with passengers just a few minutes ago, was now empty. I stopped abruptly, and the delivery driver told me to keep going, and that the damage was on the other side of the car. It may have taken a while, but finally I started to get the feeling that something just wasn't right. I told him that I wanted to go back inside and grab my shoes. I started to walk back to the door, trying to pretend that everything was fine, and just a few steps into my walk back, I heard a noise to my right. From the brush on the side of Dom's house, 2 people emerged wearing hoods. I started to jog towards the front door. On the other side of the house, another person started to run full pelt at me, and at that point I began sprinting toward the door. I was inches from the house, and one of the men tried to tackle me. Thankfully, he was just far enough away that he made contact with my ankle, but it wasn't enough to trip me up. I freaked out, got inside, and locked the door behind me. That tackler was immediately at the front door, banging and trying to open it. I was able to get a glimpse of the man who tried tackling me. He looked like he was tan, a skinny guy with a buzzed hair. He had a scruffy beard and a tattoo of some tiger on his neck. I grabbed my phone and called the police right away. I stared out the window while I was speaking with the dispatcher, and I saw all 4 of them standing near my car. I told dispatch what had happened and gave them a very detailed description of the delivery driver and the tiger tattoo man, and I watched all 4 men get into the car and drive away.
Hmm.
I was able to tell the police that it was a red Honda Civic, and the police eventually showed up and took my entire statement. But what's frustrating for me is that even with all the details I gave the police, they never caught any of these dudes. But what's most frustrating is that I have no idea why I was targeted. I didn't recognize these guys, and when I told Dom about the incident, the appearance didn't sound familiar to him either. It's scary what can happen out there in the world when you least expect it.
That's so funny, man. I never have any single problems when I'm door dashing. Like, not a problem. I mean, yeah, sometimes it'll be like a slight problem. Like, I'll get a fucked up order, or there's been one time where me and this older guy had the exact same first name, but it was a different last name, and he got my order, and his order was still at the fucking restaurant. So I had to wait at the restaurant for damn near an hour and a half And after that, I'm like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going home. Like, that was it for me. But yeah, I can't say that I've had any of these types of engagements. Most of my orders is drop it, take a picture, and leave. Sometimes I'll give it to the people, the customers. Sometimes it'll be pins. Other times it'll be just handing it to them. I mean, yeah, I don't know. DoorDash be wild, and for some people, apparently, shit.
So my aunts were out of town for a couple of weeks, and they trusted me to be home alone. They didn't have anything to worry about. I'm not the partying type. I just like to go to work at a local store in my hometown, go out to eat, get cleaned up, and go to bed. That was my usual routine. That night, I decided to stay in, and I ordered some pizza. I just didn't think that this much trouble could arise from something so mundane as ordering pizza. So I called in my order, and it didn't take very long for them to get to my house. I looked to make sure it was the delivery guy, and I was thankfully correct, though he was kinda creepy. I
Kinda.
went out and signed for it. The man looked at me though, and began to ask me some creepy personal questions. Questions like, how old are you? And are you here alone?
Ew.
I used to live around creepy guys like this when I was a child, and I knew how to answer them. I told them to just have a good night. I began to turn around with my order when I heard him say something else. By the way, you look really good in your work uniform. I just pretended to smile, and
Ew.
I walked back into my house. I locked the door, and I had an anxiety attack. I didn't see him for a week after that incident, but when I was walking home, I saw him looking around the store, and I hurried out of there.
Store.
But he followed me, and he said hi. I smiled and waved at him, then kept walking. Yet he kept following me, so I kept looking behind, keeping an eye on him. I walked into a gas station
Dude looks
that I
high
always
as hell.
stopped in after work. The manager there knew me very well. I told him the situation, and he told the man to leave me alone before we had a problem. But the manager of the gas station told me what the guy had said back to him, and that's the scariest part. The guy just smiled before walking away. He said, nothing to worry about. I'll have her alone soon. Luckily, nothing more has happened since then.
Ew.
I have my guard up, ready for anything.
Yuck.
At least, I hope I'm ready. I'm a 20-something guy living in the middle of Tennessee. Before this bizarre experience, I'd been going to college full-time to be a paralegal. One day, though, my mother broke her hip after falling down the stairs. She was 52 at the time, and my dad had passed a long time ago, so it was on me to take care of her. We didn't really have
Wait, did we
anyone
just...
else. I was forced to make myself a part-time student because I would have to get a job to help her afford some of her medical bills. At the time, thanks to my late dad, I had a fairly new car, and I figured it'd be fun and easy to deliver pizza. I love to drive. Where I lived, there was a lot of scenery, and sometimes
Did we just switch between another story in the midst of a story? Like, that was a very, very, very fast one. Holy shit. Like, oh, yeah, we did. That was a very quick story. Holy cow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, dude's creepy. That was a very quick story. Wowzers. But yeah, okay. Dude was creepy. Alrighty then.
I even went on drives just for the sake of it. As you can probably guess, it was easy to get the job. I just applied at a few local places and called each of them the next day.
That's also why I love driving, or I love door dashing, because I love driving. I could literally drive all the time. I mean, I've done 8-hour, 9-hour, 10-hour round trips. I've once driven for literally a whole 22, 23 hours. It was my ex's birthday. And we just fucking drove everywhere. But yeah.
Day. Before I knew it, I was delivering pizzas wearing a Domino's hat. Delivering pizza wasn't hard. I can be completely honest with you about that. But delivering can be insanely stressful. You've got to get there at a
Hold up, yo.
reasonable time. You keep hoping that the order was made correctly, because you can't just send it back to the kitchen when you're miles away from the restaurant. And last but not least, you find yourself praying that your next customer isn't a prank or a complete jerk. I can't tell you how many jerks I've delivered to. Jerks who didn't want to pay because I wasn't able to give them one more pack of Parmesan cheese. Well, there came a day when I had to deliver a large pizza to an address I did not recognize.
I think, yeah, this is the last one.
The place was about 10 miles away from the restaurant, in an area we all infamously called the Boondocks. It was an area that I'd personally never been to, but when I saw it on my drive, I would describe it as a country region of town where there's only a single trashy house every 5 minutes on the road. And I'm not trying to be rude. These places looked beat up, old, and ransacked. It was honestly hard to believe that people still lived in those places. I was fully expecting at any moment to witness a drug deal, or to have someone step out in front of my car to stop me and try to sell me meth. Needless to say, it was a bit of a creepy place. Given that it was getting dark out fast, I was ready to get the delivery over with. I arrived at the customer's address rather quickly, thank God. Luckily, this house was far cleaner than all the ones previous. It was a small white home with a short paved driveway and a seemingly untouched screen door in the front. The yard was well kept and clean, and the grass looked to have been cut recently. Also, there were no cars in the driveway, but I still assumed someone was home to pick up the order. I got out hesitantly and I grabbed the pizza. The carrier was still hot enough to burn my skin if I held it in one spot for too long. This was good. It was probably our most common complaint we got, that our pizzas were too cold or not hot enough when we dropped them off. So that was one thing I didn't have to worry about. With some flimsy confidence, I began to walk up to the screen door. When I was nearly at the porch, I could now see a faint light through the front window, and that's when I saw the silhouette of someone looking out at me. Someone standing there, watching me walk up to their door.
That's creepy.
Good, I thought. This will be quick. I made it to the front door, cleared my throat for whatever reason, opened the screen door, then knocked on the wooden door. With the first knock, the door slid open. The door hadn't been closed at all, so when I knocked, it opened further. But I swear, there's no way it should have opened that much from a single light knock, because the door in a matter of seconds was wide open. I could now see inside. I could see the faint lighting from what appeared to be 2 dim lamps in the living room. I could also see a small, maybe 28-inch TV in the living room, displaying a silent, flat blue screen. For several seconds, I didn't realize that I was holding my breath. I could feel goosebumps coming up on my forearms. What in the world was going on here? Hello? I said. It definitely wasn't loud enough to get anyone's attention, though. So instead, without stepping through the doorway, I knocked on the open door, hoping to let someone know that I was here. I waited for at least 2 minutes, but I didn't hear a soul. Nobody walking or talking.
How do you wait 2 minutes when you literally saw somebody peeking through a window?
In the house.
Like what?
No sign that anyone lived there. I stood there, frozen and silent, trying to listen. Behind you. A A voice whispered. I felt breath on the back of my neck, cold, chilling breath. Immediately, I spun around. I did it so quickly that I dropped the pizza inside its carrier, but I didn't care. I ran back to my car and was ready to peel out of there. But I made the mistake of looking back at that dang house. I saw it in the window. The silhouette of a person standing there, still watching me. Except now, they were waving. I hauled tail out of there. When I made it back to the restaurant,
Huh?
I was written up for failure to deliver and for losing my pizza carrier. I thought I was going to be fired, to be honest with you, but I think my manager just went easy on me, as she knew the situation with my mother. On one of my rare days off, one of the days I didn't have to work or take care of my mom or go to school, I went back to that strange neighborhood. I found that house again, but it took me a while to be sure that the place I was looking at was really the same place. Because even though it had been about 2 weeks since the incident,
Oh, wow.
the place was a wreck.
Whoa.
The screen door was hanging off of its hinges with holes in the screen. The white paint on the outside was now an off-white or nearly yellow,
What the
with
hell?
patches of chipped paint. And the lawn was now a jungle with random auto parts scattered about.
That's crazy.
I gathered my courage and drove back to the nearest neighbor I could find. I knocked on their door and excused my intrusion. Then I asked them if they knew anything about the strange house. To my surprise, they did. The house was the home of an old man who struggled with his drinking. Apparently, he drove his kids away from frequent abuse, and once those kids left his life for good, he took a shotgun and ended his own life.
Oh.
I was covered with chills as I listened to the story. It was like some sort of ghost story you'd see on TV.
So, in other words, it's fucking haunted. Cool.
Or hear from an urban legend. But this was real. I'd lived through it. After the man told me that that house hadn't had electricity on for the past year, I thanked him for the information and I bid him good day. I stopped delivering for Domino's after that. I didn't feel like delivering to any more strange places, and I got a better job offer as a manager at a local Subway. Still, sometimes I get a chill on the back of my neck, and I can't help but think about that voice saying, "Behind you."
It's fucking creepy. Oh, dude, even I got that chill, though. Behind you. That shit creepy, cuh. That shit creepy, cuh. Alright, Joe. Well. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down in the comment section below. Like I said, let me know if y'all enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright? Peace out. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody else. Also, if you want to view the original video for yourselves and go support the channel, I will leave both linked in the description down below. Alright? Peace out.